Welcome back now. GoPro's bumpy earnings ride just took another hit. A lawsuit claims GoPro's new Hero 4 session camera, the camera on the left, is a copy of the Polaroid Cube that came out a year ago. GoPro stock dropped on the news of the suit. And Amazon is marking 20 years in the book business with a move you might find a little strange. The online company is opening an actual bookstore. It has real shelves and, yes, real books, along with other products. And now, does this signal a new trend for online retailers, or is it just a very flashy flash in the pan? Well, financial analyst Reggie Middleton is here to answer those and other questions coming out of this move. So is it a flash in the pan, Reggie?
I think it's more of a proof of concept. Amazon is known as a book company.
Because it started as a book company.
Right, it started as a book company. It is no longer a book company. Amazon is 50% products and electronics, books, electronics, and 50% services. When you decide what a company is, you don't look at what people think of the company. You look at where the money comes from. If you look at their latest statement, about 52% of the earnings came from selling media, books and products and electronics, and about 48% came from selling services. That's in terms of profit. 15 billion or so came in revenue from these products, where only about 3 billion or 4 billion or so came in revenue for the services. But once it comes down to actual earnings, it's almost a 50-50 split, and the services are growing much faster than everything else.
Well, Amazon Prime is a good example of where the services are really growing. So in other words, it's going in the opposite direction, because you have Macy's and Target's, just a couple of stores that went online, and then of course you have an online store that's now going to bricks and mortar. Are we going to see more of that sort of trend happening?
Well, I think more, like I said, of a proof of concept. One of the biggest services that Amazon sells is something that anybody who's not a propeller type tech head would know about. It's Amazon Web Services. Basically, they sell all the technology that they use to facilitate book sales, the servers. They outsource it to other companies so they can run their businesses on it. And that's where the vast majority of the profits from a percentage perspective comes from. There are other things on top of that that Amazon is attempting to sell. To help sell media, they create hardware. The Fire HD, the failed Amazon phone, etc., helps Amazon sell its movie services, which have a higher margin than the physical books. So when you sell these things, it's very difficult to conceptualize it. It's very easy to conceptualize it. If you walk into a physical store, you see a shelf, you see the Fire HD, you say, hey, this compares favorably to an iPad, and it's 1/3 the price. That's where the store comes from. I don't think they're looking to actually make a profit from retailing out of the store, but they want people to touch and feel.
And there's a huge difference, isn't there, when you can actually touch and feel something quite intrinsic as opposed to waiting. The excitement of something coming through the post and literally with Amazon Prime, literally on the day itself. So give us a sense and feel of what this new store is going to be like. Do you have any idea? Is it going to be very much a reflection of how the sales are online?
I think the new store is going to show off what Amazon is good at. For instance, number one, you have a selection of books, but that's A, obvious, and B, very laborious. But you're also going to have probably a lot of electronics. So you can have the Fire HDs in different sizes. You're going to have, basically, if you walk into, I think, what you would see in Barnes & Noble with the Nook or Best Buy, you'd see Amazon's heavily branded version of all of it. So that you can take it, you can play with it, you could go through it, and there'll most likely be a lot of salespeople who are very, very well versed in how it works.
So Borders are now out of business. Should Barnes & Noble be running scared after this concept, if Amazon?
Barnes & Noble is basically the last of the dynasty. Barnes & Noble's margins are relatively thin. You know, I think Barnes & Noble is the last of the Mohegans. Barnes & Noble actually moved into technology and into digital media sales as well. They sell, I think they're the second largest bookseller online after Amazon. They should have been the first, but Amazon beat them to the punch.
Beat them to the punch. Let's talk about Google for a moment, because Google abandoned their plans to actually have a store. Why do you think that is?
Actually, I have no idea. I can assume lease negotiations could have blown up. Google could have looked and said, you're at the exact top of the market or close to the top. 9 months from now, we get a much better deal. But the concept that Google is looking to
replicate or emulate.
You're right. Not even emulate. Is still there. Google is much more of a services company than Amazon. Google makes over 90% of their profits and revenues from services, and Google services are given away for free because they can sell advertising on top of it. If you think of Google, a lot of people say, why would a search engine want a store? because this search engine has 82% of the cell phone market in terms of operating systems worldwide. They also have Google Audio for Chromecast. They sell sound systems, video systems, in Google Chromecast. They sell home automation systems, et cetera,
Well,
et
so
cetera, et
it's
cetera.
an ongoing thing. Well,
Right.
maybe Google have to rethink the plot. Reggie,
Yes.
thanks so much for joining
Very
us.
welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, still to come here on Exchange, why it might not pay to take the first job you can get. We'll be right back.